Hey everyone, this is the Community Engineering Hangout for May, and I'm very glad that you've joined us. If this is your first Hangout, welcome. If you are wondering what we do here, we like to highlight a few things around community engineering with Magento from the last month. We like to highlight drop them in the
David?
Looks like David connection problems.
Okay, let's give him some time to reconnect.
You got the freeze.
Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Hi, Chris. Nice to meet you.
Is my microphone on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Hello.
Yeah. Actually, our host just lost his connection, so we are waiting for him to reconnect and continue the call.
There he is.
fun. Where was I? Or where were we? Oh, goodness. Okay, I think we were at Imagine, right? That's as far as we got. Yeah, so as I was saying, hopefully the internet won't drop out, but if it does, I will be confident that Sergey can continue without me. But yeah, at Imagine, we started Adobe Stock integration project, and with the help of a couple of our community members, as well as Chris, who's joined the call from Adobe. Today we thought we would just kind of highlight what we've done currently, what the vision is, and show you what you can expect from it, and also how you can get involved if you're interested in joining the project. So it's at this point I'd like to hand over to Sergey, who's going to demo what's going on. But I will just remind you, if you do have any questions, drop them in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them as we go along. But yeah, over to you, Sergey.
Thanks, David. So yeah, we started the project just a couple of weeks ago, so not so much is done, but we do have something to show. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, the idea of Adobe Stock integration is to provide ability for Magento admin users to use pictures within an admin panel from the Adobe Stock. And right now, we started the integration from the Magento Media Gallery. I have to re-log in. Basically, I'm going to edit a random block in Magento and show you the interface. So here is a media gallery of Magento that are the pictures that are stored on local file system are supposed to be here, but the button that you see on the top is basically the entry point right now to Adobe Stock integration. And what we have right now is basically a view of images from Adobe Stock and a search field that makes it possible to search images by keywords. For now, that's it that we implemented, but we do have a lot of things to do in future. And as for our next future plans, we are going to add an ability to sort images. Also, we are going to add some filters, like search images by color and lots of other filters. Even not all possible filters are showed on this design picture. And more importantly, we'll be able to actually save the preview of images to add it to Magento Media Gallery so that it can be used in blocks, products, categories, everywhere in Magento later. For sure, there will be a login functionality and ability not just to download the preview, but also purchase or license an image from Adobe Stock and use the full dimensions licensed image without the watermark. So now, after the overview, I would like to switch a bit to the technical side of the project and let you know that the development is going on in Magento Adobe Stock integration repository. It's 5 modules by now. The integration is designed in a way that not only images potentially can be purchased or can be downloaded from the Adobe Stock, but in future we have a way to add other media from Adobe Stock, like templates, videos, but yeah, it requires some additional design and additional discussion. Actually, what I'm excited about is that with the Adobe Stock integration project, we not only integrating the Adobe Stock into Magento, but also kind of integrating our open source work, because we are using the library from the Adobe organization for the API, for the work with the API, Stock API lib PHP, and yeah, we are even trying to adjust to improve this library for our usage. So it's work on Magento on open source and Adobe open source. That is really exciting. Yeah, we do have like 17 pull requests merged in the 2 weeks, and I'm happy that two of our best contributors are right now on the call. That's Igor and Raul. Also, I'm happy that Chris also joined the call because he helps a lot with Stock API integration. Basically, that's it for my preview, for my overview of the project. Let's now switch to discussion.
Cool, awesome. It's really good to see from my side how much can be kind of not only almost already achieved in the 2 weeks, but also to see kind of the vision of where we're going and what we want to do. I thought what might be a good place to start is with Chris, actually, because Chris, you came down to Imagine, and this was your first kind of experience with the Magento community, I guess.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to ask you how you found it, how you found working with the community, and also like how different it is to what goes on inside
Sure.
Adobe, that kind of stuff. Any thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very different. Very different. I had taken part in maybe 1 or 2 other developer events, but very little focus on stock, mostly on things like Adobe XD, the experience design software. And the culture within Adobe does not have a much of a open source tradition at all. Just for whatever reasons, it's just never been part of the DNA of what we do. Now, they do, our developers do pull in open source projects, to use in their work, but the resulting work that they create has never been, for the most part, not out in the public. And, I mean, a lot of stuff you can imagine, Photoshop, not going to be made open source. Yeah, so I wasn't sure what to expect when I got here, when I got to the event, and I was really impressed by the group. I really liked the kind of the camaraderie and that everybody has. That people seem to be happy to see each other and greet each other like they're old friends, and I thought that was really great. And I would definitely like to see more of that as a whole within Adobe. As far as this project goes, just a little background. We weren't sure exactly how this was going to happen. And there was some talk, and the stock engineering team might still get involved in it if we want to do something more comprehensive. But we're really, I'm excited that that you guys were able to design something that could be contributed to, and there's a lot more pieces we could add onto it if the community is interested, because I think it's a great starter project. Mainly, I work with partners and customers who are building all these integrations themselves, and so I advise them, but I don't really get to do much hands-on. And this is I really want to contribute to it myself. I'm still struggling to get a stable environment for Magento running, but I do have it running. It's not nearly as fast as Sergey's. I don't know what he did, because mine takes about 30 seconds longer for every page refresh than his does. So. Yeah, so that's about it. But as far as Adobe Stock goes, yeah, the integrating with the images, I think, is a great first step. And I'm not sure how much more Magento customers will need other content, although I think video is an interesting idea if you guys add it to your storefront. The only there are some challenges, like the content from Adobe Stock is meant to serve out the originals, the original master assets, not so much like renditions. So I would think it would be natural for, and perhaps, and I don't know enough about Magento, perhaps if there's some layer that can process the assets and serve them out web ready, because Stock is not serve web-ready assets except for its thumbnail previews. When I used to work with this other group at Adobe Scene 7, that's actually what they did. They would ingest assets and then give you a URL that you could just put right into your store or whatever. So I could see that being, something that we'd want to explore further.
Yeah, yeah. That is something I think that a lot of people would consider to be an important next step. Rather than just having the kind of, like you said, the originals, but having stuff that's web ready. I don't know, Sergey, is that something that's on our roadmap at the moment? Or?
Yeah, well, actually, for images, Magento does handle the web-ready images, the resizing for all its formats and all its pages.
Okay.
As for other assets, as I said, it's a separate discussion. Well, the library, the project is designed in a way that it will easily allow to work with not just images but other assets, and we'll see if we can do something with it later.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting. There is another initiative at Stock that may actually help exactly in that area. So we may be able to solve the problem for you, but I'm not allowed to say anything more. So but that would be for video. But for images, so yeah, that's good. I didn't know that. I assumed, but was not sure if Magento did all that sort of work under the hood to resize the images. So that's great.
Cool, awesome, nice. Yeah, it's good to hear, and I'm very happy that you enjoyed your time at Imagine and got to see a bit of how our community works together, and yeah, it's cool. It's nice to kind of link the two worlds together a bit closer and closer as time goes on. So that's awesome. Yeah, now I'd like to hear a bit from the two other people we have in the call, so Igor and Raul, who were the first community contributors, I believe, to the project.
Right.
So Igor, why don't we start with you? What I'd like to know is, well, firstly, was this the first time you'd done contribution, or had you contributed before?
Yeah, I already created some pull requests before, but they were all about Magento issues or anything that I found in Magento to improve the platform, not about specifically integrations and something like that.
Okay, cool. And how did you find it different? Did you find it better to work in kind of more of a project environment rather than just fixing issues?
Yes, I enjoy this opportunity because since Magento joined the Adobe family, I was interested to know about what are going to be the first integrations between Magento and all the other Adobe services. So I think it's been a different experience, but I'm really enjoying.
Cool, awesome. And what sort of work were you doing while you were at Imagine? What tasks were you covering?
I was working in a task to create some database tables for this integration. And another task that I worked during Imagine was a task to create all the API interfaces and modules to handle the database tables.
Cool.
But for the second task, I'm still making some changes.
Okay, cool. And you were using the declarative schema stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Very cool. And how did you find that? Because I think that's one of the bigger changes between 2.2 and 2.3.
I don't know. For me, it's only a different way to do the same thing, but I think it's a good change. It will help us to improve the experience as developers.
Cool. Awesome. And do you feel like this is sort of something that you could envisage your customers and the sites that you work with using more with the Adobe Stock and maybe other Adobe products in time?
Yes, yes. I think it will be a good feature to have in Magento in the future because a lot of customers will be interested to use these servers inside Magento.
Awesome, cool. And it's good for you to get ahead of the game and get to know the system before it comes out.
Yes.
Cool, awesome. Well, we're very happy that you joined on this project at the event, and I hope you can continue to spend some time and invest some time in it. But yeah, great to have you. Awesome, Raul. You've done a little bit of contribution before, but was this kind of your main first sort of project work?
Yes. Well, first of all, I apologize, guys, because my camera is not working. We'll try to sort that thing. Make a pull request to fix that thing later on. Yes, my experience is pretty much pretty similar to Igor's. My experience with pull requests has been mainly for the main repo for Magento 2. And as I was mentioning to you, David, at the Imagine event, sometimes it's hard because the issues that are there sometimes are too difficult, or the ones that are, I think I'm able to help with. Somebody comes and fixes quicker than me. So for me, it was a great opportunity to get my hands on some contribution stuff, and particularly I enjoy doing something specific, building new stuff. That's something I enjoy in my daily work, and I enjoy at Imagine as well.
Awesome, cool. And how was it in terms of like an onboarding process? So like it might be a bit scary for people to kind of jump into a project, something that they might not have ever thought or worked on before. So how was it for you kind of getting started and figuring out how to get involved?
Well, I could say it was really easy, especially with the help of Stan that was with me all the time, and helped me to explain me the issues. Well, it was not the issue, the functionality and what we wanted to achieve. The two pull requests I created one was to create some databases, some tables in the database, using the declarative schema. And also there is another one that is still, I still need to do some stuff about, and it was about to create a small interface in the admin to validate the Adobe API key.
Cool, awesome. And for you, do you feel that how do you feel like contribution could fit in with your kind of your daily work or your day job, so to say?
Well, this is something I try to do on my free time. I'm gonna see if I can speak with my colleagues and see if we can integrate these kind of things on our daily work. But at the moment, I'm doing this thing on my free time only.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's for me what I found a lot from feedback is, especially with larger companies, it can be quite useful to get a bit of time from the company to get involved with contribution, as well as also some of your free time. But we don't want you to use up all your free time and get in trouble at home for just contributing. And so we want to try and get a nice balance there. So I think that's something that a lot of the ecosystem is interested in doing. So yeah, cool.
So David, I have a question. Is it kind of unusual for the contributions to be focused around a project rather than just sort of general contribution? Is that still sort of a new thing, or?
That's a good question. I think there are kind of two ways that people will contribute in general. First is if they've got a problem in their project, they're running a project, they're building a site, and they find an issue, then they'll probably fix it in that project, and then when they have some free time, they'll contribute it back. The other thing that a lot of people are doing is jumping onto longer term projects and kind of committing to an hour, a couple hours a week, and saying, okay, I'm going to commit to working on this. At the moment, I believe we have about 6 or 7 different projects running. And so we have a good group of people contributing into that side, but still, I would say there's probably more people contributing to issues than projects, but there's probably more work going into projects, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that's, and I think it's just outstanding, you know, and thank you to Raul and Igor and the contributions you've done. I'm really impressed that you just came along and contributed to a project you didn't have to. And actually, that was sort of the thing I was saying to my colleagues. I was like, so these people, they just show up and they do work for free. I don't really understand what, but but just, you know, in seriousness though, I think it helps you get closer to the product and understand how it goes on. And if your career takes you in that direction, you know, certainly that might also be a way to get a foot in the door if you're looking, you know, to work at a company like Adobe in the future. One thing I would say that I think would be interesting to everybody would be if you ever progress to the point where you're doing authentication to Adobe. Right now, the integration is pretty light in that all it requires is an API key that you register for free with Adobe through your Adobe ID. But that doesn't really identify you. All it does is give you the right to call the API. For a deeper integration, you'd want to integrate with one of our authentication methods that actually identifies the user, typically through, in your cases, for most of your customer base, it would probably be through our OAuth integration. So where the users get redirected to the Adobe website, they sign in, some secrets are exchanged, it sends back some information to the host application, and then you're logged in for a certain amount of time. Once you get through that barrier, it opens up a lot of other services that you could access at Adobe, since Adobe, most products have a common authentication. Not all products. We're still struggling to keep up with the pace of our acquisitions. So that's why Magento and a lot of our other things are not on a common Adobe login yet, but one day. But yeah, that I would say that once you solve the authentication thing, then you can access a lot of other services as well, not just stock.
Yeah, that's cool. I think I've been involved in a call with God. I think that could be quite an interesting next thing and open up, like you said, a world of different Adobe products and integrations of Magento. What I'd like to do now is maybe, Sergey, if you could give us an overview on what's kind of coming up with this project. So if someone wants to get involved, where's the best place to start? Is there weekly meetings, that kind of stuff, and also maybe a little bit of the roadmap might be quite interesting if you have one.
Yeah, sure. Unfortunately, we don't have a weekly meeting set up right now. Probably we will organize them a bit later. But yeah, we do have a roadmap. We actually do have some detailed documentation on future implementations, and we do have a decent backlog that we are planning to keep populated.
Could you please share your screen and show us, how to start our repository, our backlog, our board with all tickets, that when you can grab some, good first issues, complex issues, where we can find the documentation. We also have a roadmap on our documentation. So
yeah, so
really
yeah,
useful.
just what I was going to do. Right. So we really have what to show you from the documentation and backlog perspectives. So at the GitHub repository, we do have a couple of dashboards. So one dashboard is for managing the pull requests, and another dashboard contains backlog, contains the tasks that are ready for development. And as you can see, we also have lots of good first issues. Good first issue is a task that can be done quite fast and doesn't require too much work or doesn't require some extraordinary skills. So the project is ready to for also developers to start working on it. You can just go to the backlog dashboard on the repository and grab an issue from the ready for development or good first issue column. Then start the development and yeah.
Yeah, so you guys are really Zen masters of GitHub, I have to say, because you do so many things in there that at Adobe we currently don't do. We use GitHub almost entirely just for code. The sort of board that you're showing us there, we would do in Jira, which is not necessarily connected. So you have, all this information floating around. So can you show me how do you actually say that you're working on a issue in GitHub?
I can describe how it works because I developed this flow a few days ago. We developed a small GitHub application to manage this board, and for example, if you assign ticket to yourself, this ticket will be moved to the development in progress column automatically. So we are listening on the GitHub webhooks. We are waiting for some specific events, and if we receive such events, we will do some actions like move tickets on the columns, assign specific labels, and a lot of other actions. For example, we can track if you already created pull request for the current issue and you place the link to the issue on your pull request body, we automatically will move this ticket on the board to the pull request in progress status. So we can track all events that will be, happened with issues, with pull requests, with comments, and we decide what to do with issue state, with pull request state, and other actions. Yeah.
Actually, I'm on the page right now, and so I'm on an issue page, and it says assignees no one assigned. How do you actually assign yourself? Is there a...
So as I just showed on the screen sharing, you are opening an issue and assign yourself. Yeah, and the column changed to dev in progress automatically. Okay. So if we'll go back to the project, it will be moved. Actually, yeah, I really like this automation for the GitHub boards. It's not out of the box, but it's developed with help of GitHub apps. Yeah.
Cool.
It's nice.
And if someone's a first-time contributor, and do they automatically ask, or do they have to get the right permission set before they can do that?
Generally, we're using the flow as for Magento 2. If you're already in Magento contributors team and you accepted invite to the Magento organization, you will have right access to the repository, then can provide ability to assign tickets to yourself, unassign tickets, set up some labels, unlabeled tickets, and a lot of other actions.
Would you guys think would be worth to mention that in the README of the project? So new people coming and helping to wanting to help would know what to do.
Recently, we updated readme.md file with links to our documentation. Yeah, for the to the installation guide, to the roadmap. So if you think that we need to add something to the readme.md file, you know, like describe flow, how to assign ticket or how to choose ticket, we can add it. It's completely, you know,
Yeah,
agile, and we can do it.
yeah, I think it's a good idea. Actually, our README is quite short right now, just a starter README, and I believe additional information will be helpful here.
Cool. I like that you've linked in the Slack. So I guess if someone is wanting to start and want to get involved, probably the best way to start is to join the Slack, join the Adobe Stock channel, and maybe reach out to either you, Stanislav, or Sergey, and you'd be able to get them up and started in the project if people need help.
Yeah, that will be. Actually, this channel is probably the best place to ask some questions or get some clarification on any things related to the project, and also maybe provide some feedback and propositions. Also, we do have a wiki on the repository, and as you may notice in the issue, there was a link to the design document. So all the plans, all the stories for the project are listed in our wiki page, and we also have a technical designs and technical information. There are a few documents, and we are still working on documentation one by one, just extending it as the project goes. So the roadmap is yeah, it's basically a list of stories that are reflected as issues, as tasks on our backlog dashboard, and we are trying to create new issues for the new stories that appear here. It also includes the installation instructions, basic implementation, implementation guides with basic approaches that we would like to use with the projects, and other related technical documents. So wiki, I would say that we are trying to keep it detailed, but it's also flexible. So in case you have any suggestions, propositions, or questions about the documentation that is on wiki, yeah, it would be good if you reach out to me or Stas or Adobe Stock channel in the Slack.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, that looks good. I think that should be a good place for people to start, and they should be able to get working on it. Yeah.
By the way, I do want to ask like Igor and Raul if they checked the documentation and what's their opinion on it, what's their feedback. Was it helpful or?
Yes, I can say it was helpful, especially in the beginning, to understand the context and how this integration is gonna work. But I think, at least for what I'm I'm contributing right now, I think it's very clear on what I have to do.
Yeah, well, without those documents, it would be impossible to build the tables in the database, because impossible to know what columns and where to place the foreign keys and all the things, all the technical things. Yeah, in my opinion, it was really useful, and especially the one that helps to set up the project.
And the installation guide.
Yeah, I think is that one.
Yeah. Oh, great, thanks.
Cool. Is maybe you answered this? I'm not sure. Is the aim for this module to be like a standalone module or set of modules, or will it be bundled in with the main Magento 360 when you create the project?
Yeah. So it's a set of modules. Right now, it's 5 modules, and they're standalone. It's not a fork of Magento repository, as you can see. So for now, it's just standalone repository containing a package of 5 Adobe Stock modules, maybe more later.
How would customers? So let's say this is all. I know that right now it's still in development. Let's just say that this was. You had a first release. How would customers only be able to install it through GitHub, or how are extensions usually packaged up into things that anyone can install, or how does that work?
We have 2 possible options how to distribute this extension. First of all, of course, it's just to add the source code to the Magento core and distribute with Magento. But I'm not sure that. Actually, we don't decide how we will distribute these models right now. But we have 2 options, as I said before. So we have first option just to add these models to the Magento core, and the second option distribute this extension through the marketplace, like separate extensions, and every merchant can, just install it from the marketplace.
And you can put free extensions in the marketplace. You don't have to. They don't have to be paid. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I would like to add that right now the installation instructions provide the way to install the package only for development. So it's cloning the Git repository and using Modman 2 variants, but I believe that the easiest way to install the package like for testing close to production will be using Composer, that is used for all the Magento modules. For now, we don't have a registered package, Composer package for the Adobe Stock integration, but I believe it still can be done, specifying the repository for Composer.
Yeah, you can also currently you can use Composer, but you define a path on your local machine. So if you cloned it to a separate path, you can then Composer require from that path. I don't know exactly how this was set up, because you'd have to change the stability as far as I understand, but it's possible at the moment. And I guess that would be, that would be the way we would end up doing it, similar to with Composer in general, with the same with other modules. Cool, awesome. I think that kind of covers everything that I wanted to talk about the project at the moment. If you are watching this and you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the live chat. We'll try and get them answered as best as we can. But yeah, like I said before, I'm super interested to see this project because it kind of brings the two worlds, the Magento and the Adobe world, close together. And as Chris alluded to, it's not just this product from Adobe that could be useful, but there is a lot more. There are a lot more useful stuff out, things that can also be useful out there. So it'd be interesting to see how this progresses, and I'm excited to see it because I think it'll be most importantly useful for merchants and people out there to use. So yeah. So I can't see any questions coming in at the moment. So what I think it'd be good just to say, first of all, thank you to Igor and Raul for helping us out and for contributing to be some of the first contributors. It was awesome to see you guys at Imagine, awesome to see you getting involved, and I hope you continue to get involved, continue to be involved in this project and can take it through from first steps to final steps. Let's put it. So I think that'd be awesome. And also, I want to thank Chris for taking time out during Imagine to help us out with questions we had, and also for taking the time out here. And I'd love to see a bit more involvement between Adobe and Magento, especially. And I think this project would be a great opportunity for that. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, if you are interested in getting into this project, yeah, on the README file of the repository, there is a link to the Slack channel specifically for this project. So feel free to jump in there and reach out to Sergey or Stas to get involved. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. And we will be back next month with another live stream. We have two possible topics at the moment. One of them will either be documentation and dev docs, or we are looking at the testing framework as the other option. So we will keep subscribe to the channel, and we will let you know as soon as we have that confirmed, but it will be end of June time. And I look forward to seeing you there. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope this was enlightening and you could see how this project is progressing. So thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everyone.